Hello and welcome. Now in this video we are going to verify our domain that we're going to be using with Amazon SES. And to do that we're going to go to the Identity Management tab inside of SES. So to start from the beginning, we'll start from the home page of Amazon SES. You're going to see a left side menu. You'll then click Domains. What you'll do then is you're going to click Verify a new domain. You're then going to write in the domain that you're going to be using. You're then going to want to click the Generate DKIM settings. Then you'll want to click Verify this domain. You'll again get a set of information that you're going to be using with your host. And when you do this, it's going to take about 48 hours in order for you to verify the domain fully and for it to propagate. Now, in some cases, you will then take this information and give it to your host. In other cases, you'll need to place this information inside of your DNS settings yourself. The best place to start would be to ask your host how you should handle this, and if they choose to handle it for you, you can let them, and if not, then you'll want to enter it. Now, if you're already familiar with the zone editor inside of your cPanel or control panel for your website, you'll be able to place these records by using this panel, and you'll see that there is a space for the CNAME record, for an MX record, as well as a record for TXT. And once this process is complete, you'll be able to send through Amazon SES with any address from the domain that is verified. You'll also be protected against spoofers who attempt to use your domain and sending capability inside of Amazon SES by faking your email address. Now you can start checking for verification. Now you can start checking for verification as little as 1 hour after the time when you have set this up. Now, Amazon and most hosts will say that this process is going to take 48 to 72 hours. As of the recording of this video, this process took 2 hours. Now, you can then go into your domain. If you click the drop-down menu, you'll see that the DKIM settings are all verified, as well as your mail from domain is now in place and your domain is now ready to be used. Okay, so with that, thanks, and I will see you in another video. Hello and welcome. Now, in looking at the email that you received from Amazon SES, what you'll notice is that this email address, which is the from email address, actually is the one that you set up, plus you see the word via, and then it says amazonses.com. Now, this is an email address that indicates that you are sending through Amazon SES. You can control this appearance so that this is something custom that will look like it came from your domain. You do that through the sender policy framework, and there are 2 steps to the process. We're going to go over one of those steps in this video. When you come back to your home screen, what you're going to do is you're going to go to your email addresses that you set up, and you're going to go to the email address that you are setting up and that you're working with. You'll then reach to the very top bar here and then click View Details. And when you click View Details, what you're going to do is go to the bottom level and then click this drop-down arrow, and you're going to click Set Mail from Domain. And what you're going to need to do is you're going to need to set up a subdomain that you're going to be using. In this case, we're going to name our subdomain, and then we're going to click Set Mail from Domain. And once again, you will then need to publish this to your DNS settings, and you'll either need to use the cPanel zone editor, or if you work with your host to do this, you'll want to give this information to your host so that they can add it to your DNS. Now, once we've added this information to our DNS, it's going to be another 48 to 72 hours before we can use it and expect to see it render properly inside of our email. So for now, we're just going to close up this dialog box and wait for the propagation. And what we'll see in Amazon SES is that this is going to say pending verification until our system is correct. Okay, so with that, thanks, and I will see you in another video. Now, although we already have our DKIM set up through our domain verification process, we're going to go to our email address and we're going to set up our notifications. And this is the second part of the process. And we're going to go into our email addresses. We are then going to go back to the email address and we're going to click View Details. When we get to these details, we're going to then click the notifications link and we're going to click the down arrow. And then we're going to click Edit Configuration. Now by default, we have email feedback forwarding on. That means then we're going to get bounce and complete notifications sent to us by the email address that we have on file. What we're going to do is we're going to make sure that we have our bounces, complaints, and delivery set up by topic. So we're going to click here to create a new Amazon SNS topic. Once we do that, we're going to click Create Topic. And then we're going to select the topic for our bounces. And we will select the one that we want. And then we'll do the same process for complaints and deliveries. Once we have our topics, we will then save this configuration. Then we will get notifications for bounces, complaints, and deliveries sent to our email, again, with specific topics in the email. And with that, we now have a basic setup for us to begin connecting our account to front-end systems for transactional email as well as notifications. Okay, so with that, thanks, and I will see you in another video. Welcome back. Now, whether or not you're using Amazon SES along with a server or cloud-based interface, or you're using it as transactional email, you're going to want to make sure that you keep your domains matched. So if you're working with a particular domain, you're just going to come into Amazon SES and take that existing domain, come to the domain section, and just as you did before, you're going to verify your new domain. All you're going to need to do is to click Verify a New Domain, and then you're going to go through the same process that we did before with the previous domain. You'll set up your DKIM settings, you'll write in your name, you'll generate the DKIM settings, you'll click Verify this domain. You will then get another set of entries that you'll need to put into your zone editor. You're going to want to make sure to download this entire CSV because this is a drop-down menu. You may miss this third one here. And once you download this CSV, you're going to want to come over to your column. You'll just want to expand it so that you have all this information. Then you're going to go to your zone editor for the new domain. Once you're back inside your zone editor, then you'll be able to add your records according to the particular ones that you have in the CSV. For example, you'll see the 3 CNAME records that you'll be entering in, and you'll do this for each one of the records that you have in the CSV. And you'll just add in the record here inside of your zone editor. Now, the only way that you're going to need to do this is if this is something that your host doesn't do. So you are going to want to make sure you check with your host, make sure you know the exact procedure to add this to your DNS. In some cases, your host will actually do this activity for you. And once you've entered, you'll see that you'll need to go through the verification process. Once the verification process is complete and you've added the information, Amazon will actually keep checking. You don't have to go back and manually submit anything. This will update automatically. As you can see, this domain has already verified and we're now ready to use it with the DKIM settings. Okay, so with that, thanks, and I will see you in another video. Welcome back. Now, it's possible that you may want to create transactional email with your Amazon SES account on a different domain after the fact. And if that's the case, you can come in and you can place a different email address inside of your Amazon SES account. You can do that by going through some of the same processes that we did when we first set up an email address by going to this email section. And then what we're going to do is we're going to click Verify a New Email Address. And then we're going to go back through the same process. We're going to write in the email address. We're then going to verify our email. When we come back and we refresh our page, then our email is going to be verified. Now, it's quite possible that the domain that we're going to be using has not been verified. we're going to do if that's the case is we're going to then view details. We're then going to go in and we're going to set up our notifications. We're going to set up our DKIM and our mail from domain, and then this will give us the ability to use this email address without having to have our entire domain verified. So for example, we'll step back through the process of creating notifications. We will then set up a process of setting up our DKIM for this specific email address. We will then do the mail from domain policy by going mail from domain. Again, all of these are procedures that we have done before in the authentication process, except now we'll be doing this for an individual email address as opposed to an entire domain, so that we can use this email address with a new system attached to our SES account. Okay, so with that, thanks, and I will see you in another video. Welcome back. When you've gone through the extra step of setting up your email, verifying it, and then making sure that your DKIM settings are verified and that your mail from domain matches your SPF settings, you'll then be in a position to take steps toward increasing your deliverability. And one of the things that you can do is you can make sure that any links that you create inside of your email, whether you're doing a promotion or whether you're doing some kind of notification, that you use the domain in the email that you're actually using or the domain that has been verified. This will lend itself to the authority of your email, and along with your content can help your email achieve deliverability. Now you can increase the reputation of the domain executing links and using the domain in your emails by using a dedicated IP. Now, using a dedicated IP is not a necessity with Amazon SES, but it can increase the likelihood that your emails will get delivered. In order to do this, you will come to your left side panel. You will then need to open up a limits increase case. You do, when you're submitting your application, what you're going to want to do is write in here in the use case description that you're requesting a dedicated IP, and you'll let them know which domain you're requesting one for. Once you've done that and you're matching this with the links that you're using, you're increasing your opportunities to be inboxed by most cloud-based email services. Okay, so with that, thanks, and I will see you in another video. Welcome back. Now, part of the process in working with Amazon SPS is going to be making sure that your content is such that your emails will be deliverable. You'll be avoiding hard bounces. So you want to make sure that everything that you're writing, everything that you're putting in your email is going to be well within the acceptable use policy. And basically what Amazon is really looking for is that you're not trying to deceive anyone, that you're not trying to do a bait and switch, is that your email is delivering exactly what it says it's going to. Anything that you're doing with the email that's going to be transactional or notification, it should be specific. So it really should comply to whatever it is that they bought or wherever it is that they have opted into. Those emails should be specifically for that. Doesn't mean that you can't use a link to sell in those emails. However, it really should be the bulk of the content about what it is that they've opted into. You want to note that Amazon's system is going to scan your email before it goes out. So it's going to be looking to find anything that really looks for common spam patterns in your content. So you want to take note of that. This is what happens when some users find that Amazon may suspend their account because after scans, their emails do not meet the acceptable use policy. What you want to do, and this is the point of this video, is you will need to set up some email addresses, and you want to set these email addresses so that you'll be able to test to find out whether or not the emails you're sending out are going to be going into spam boxes, whether or not they're going to be going into promotional tabs, whether or not they're going to be hitting the inbox. And so you want to set up these email addresses with the most popular cloud-based services so that you can check them easily. Email addresses from Gmail, from AOL, from Yahoo, from Microsoft, and any other service that you know is popular, you're going to be able to send out the email so that you'll be able to check these boxes on a regular basis. If you can, every email that you send out, you want to make sure that those emails are going into the inboxes of these popular services. You want to note what happens when the email is sent to these boxes. You want to note what kind of category it's being placed in, and you want to note how consistently you're making the inbox. You want to try, of course, not to use any common spam words in your content. And then, if you can, you want to avoid using the same link in your email multiple times. Length can be a factor, but it's not always going to be a factor, so it doesn't matter if you leave your emails and you make them really long. It doesn't necessarily mean that your email is not going to be considered to be spam. Make sure that you're testing any brand name and any popular titles before you send out. And so anything that you've seen in the news that people are talking about, that people are building business opportunities around, make sure you test those brand names in your email before you send them out. And of course, the other thing you want to do is use testing sites, and we'll be talking about that in a separate video. Okay, so with that, thanks, and I will see you in another video.